Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Only Football. Tonight, we have got our Week 11 predictions episode along with our Week 11 favorite matchups coming up. And of course, as always, we end with the chives with Kyle. Let's get it.
Welcome to the Only Football Podcast. I'm Kyle, and that's Rick.
I'm Rick, that's Kyle.
We got ourselves a really good line of games that include, I believe I counted 5 divisional rivalries just in the 12 o'clock slate. You include the game that happened tonight, the Thursday night, the Ravens win over the Bengals. There's quite a few divisional rivalries, which is going to become really important. Because that means that this is a week where divisional separation will start to occur. And that makes our predictions in these games very important. Now, I know I hyped it up, but I'm going to start with the most bullshit of them all. And I'm going to tell you, the Cowboys are going to Carolina. The Panthers are 10.5-point favorites, total 42.5. Let me just say, there's a couple ways to say this. You could say Dallas is averaging 33.7 points per game against opponents with a losing record. That's one way to say it. The other way to say it is the Dallas Cowboys have won 5 games by at least 3 scores this season, all of those being teams with a losing record. The point, Dallas dominates bad teams, and the Panthers are a bad team. This 10.5, I don't know, 21. Try 21.5.
Yeah, dude, this is just gonna be one of those games where we're gonna be like, okay, can there be a mercy rule now, please? Like, can there please be a mercy rule? We've already seen what happened with the Dolphins earlier this season. The Cowboys, and I'm sorry to bring that up, Kyle, but the Cowboys are gonna absolutely destroy the Panthers, and I love this matchup. Why? No, I'm not really a Cowboys fan. I don't really care about the Cowboys or Dallas.
Cowboys fan.
I'm a Cowboys fan. What I really care about the most is the Panthers need to keep losing because the Bears need to have a high draft pick, and this is what it's going to keep going down to, and I love every second of it.
About the Bears. Leave it to Rick to find a way to incorporate the Bears, which is something I love that you did, because I do that, and I'm normally the annoying one that's like, let me tell you why I think the Cowboys are going to win. The Cowboys and Broncos played in 2015. And it's like, what?
Yeah. Let me tell you how the Cowboys are going to win by mentioning this Denver Broncos game with Tim Tebow.
Yeah. Somehow that's always got to go back to Tim Tebow. But
yeah,
the Cowboys defense allowing 18.3 points per game, 4th in the NFL, 3rd in total yards per game. This is going to be a nightmare of a game for Bryce Young. This is going to be a game that is going to if he's not careful, this could be one of those like confidence altering type of games.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to see if the Cowboys do get up in a big way, by halftime, how Bryce Young responds in the second half. This is a home game for Carolina, which could be, the only positive thing I can point to. Sometimes just being at home makes a world of a difference. And we did see the Cowboys struggle with Arizona on the road earlier in the season. But for the most part, I believe that this Cowboys team is even better than they were when they played the Cardinals. And if that's true, this is another blowout. And you can start to get mad about the Cowboys schedule if you want. I mean, there's been a lot of easy toss-up games for them. And we'll see where they're at, when they play the Eagles again in a couple weeks. But for right now, this is definitely a Cowboys win.
Yeah, there's really no other way to put this, man. I think Dak went for 400 yards last week. CeeDee Lamb is probably going to go for his 4th straight week, record breaking, continue to add to that record, 10 catches, 150 plus yards, and probably score at least 1 touchdown in this game.
Probably. Our next game is none other than a divisional matchup. Now, the other 2 teams we just saw play, the Ravens and Bengals. I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Cleveland to take on the Browns.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was like, yes.
Go on.
My God, he really gets the suspense going.
Like Pittsburgh's won a lot of scrappy games, right? And their defense has kind of been the story. They're tied for first right now in the NFL in takeaways. I just don't know what to expect because Cleveland's the better team, but they don't have their star quarterback and they're not going with the regular backup.
Oh, really?
What's his name?
I'll look him up.
Welcome to Only Football. God, who was it? Okay, I can't let it go. I'm just gonna have to pause the show until we find out.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Okay, Dorian Thompson-Robinson's going to start this Sunday, but the guy who had been starting all season was
PJ Walker.
PJ Walker, thank you. PJ Walker is not going, and we don't know anything about this other guy. This is one of the cases where I'm going to take Cleveland because they're at home, and that is it. I do think that in these type of matches, home field advantage is really important. And going into it right now, the Steelers are favored to win, but only by 1 point, which, I say here, is the NFL's way of saying, who knows? A lot of the predictions are 15-13, 18-15, 16-18. The under for this game is 33 points, which is not something you see in the NFL. You don't see over-unders get as low as they are for this game. And, there's good reason to believe that the under will still hit even at 33.
Yeah, I saw this game too. And obviously we talked last week and I tweeted something out about Deshaun Watson, going out for the rest of the season because I believe it was a shoulder injury. I can't remember exactly what it was. I'm sure somebody in the comments will remind me. And I thought that's it. The Browns playoffs hopes are over. And to an extent, to a certain level, I still believe that, right? Because without Deshaun Watson, the Browns have a great defense. They have one of the NFL's best defenses right now. Top 3, top 2, whatever you want to call it. But without a quarterback, without Deshaun Watson, man, it's going to get tough to 1, win this division, 2, get a wild card. We talked about how tough the AFC is. And 3, if you get in, to win a playoff game, right? We saw how close the Ravens came last year against the Bengals. The Bengals needed like a 98, 99-yard pick 6 to win that game against the backup quarterback that the Ravens put out there because Lamar Jackson was hurt. I can't see the Browns going into the playoffs and winning games. Will they win this game? I think they will win this game because they are at home. Kenny Pickett is not a good quarterback. He's a good game manager, which doesn't necessarily mean he's a good quarterback. Will he last, long as a starter? Who knows? He's got to develop into something much better than he is. And, you had, I believe, the Mike Tomlin or somebody else say Kenny Pickett needs to take that next step. I think he said it either earlier today or earlier this week. He said something like that, where he needs to take the next step. This offense is going to be tough. They got Jaylen Warren. They got Najee Harris, and they got a slew of wide receivers there in Pittsburgh that can make a difference, that can be weapons. It's just Kenny Pickett and really that offense as a whole is struggling hard. And when you put a struggling offense to, who you marvel at the fact that they get over 300 yards of total offense in a game against the NFL's top 2 defense at home, it's going to be tough for the Steelers to win. I've got the Browns winning this one.
Yeah, I'm surprised, to be honest, just because of the quarterback situation. I didn't think that you were going to go that way, but the Browns have kind of been able to play a lot of scrappy games. So we'll see on that one. We're either both going down or we're both right. Our next game is one that you're gonna not like that we're gonna agree on. I'm talking about the Chicago Bears hitting the road to take on Dan Campbell's Detroit Lions, who are coming off of what I call their most impressive win of the season, including the win over the Chiefs. And the reason is because we've seen Detroit, when they play complete football, the defense plays really good, they can win. But when you think about when they get into those 45, 48 games, they've been on the losing side of those. Seattle this year, Seattle last year. The Chargers game would have been another one but Detroit is now showing that they can win a football game with their offense or their defense. And to me, that is really impressive. Meanwhile, the Bears are getting Justin Fields back. That is really, really big for Justin Fields, probably even more than the Bears, because he still has to go out here and prove that in the final 7 weeks of the season that he is going to be the Bears' long-term answer at quarterback. I just don't think it's going to come after this game. I think the Lions are going to win.
Yeah. This one's going to be close, though, I think.
Okay.
You talked about the Lions defense. You talked about, how they're able to win games now with them too. I agree. I think this is going to be a close game, but yeah, I got the Lions winning as well. And I think Fields is the reason that this is a close game in Detroit. With Tyson Bagent at quarterback, it might have been a little difficult. Obviously, he struggled against the Panthers last week. You know what I mean? And he's had games with multiple interceptions the weeks prior. I just don't think this game with Bagent at quarterback, and he's a backup, all right? Let's remember that. I just don't think it would have been as close. I think that spread, they would have definitely covered that spread. The Lions definitely would have covered that spread with Bagent there. But with Fields, it becomes a little more dynamic. You got to guard against his running. Again, we're not talking about his injury being something in his knee, in his leg, anything like that. It was his thumb. So maybe that might make some sort of effect on the pass game too, right? Just kind of looking forward to that. And so you're already thinking, well, if he's going to struggle in the pass game, we've got to definitely shut him down on his own run game. David Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. And I think I'm gonna say right now, David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game in the fourth quarter. He's the one that's gonna go into the end zone, go up by 3, 1, 2, something close, 4, 3 or 4 points like that. Who gets into the end zone, and then the Lions defense in the last, let's say, minute and a half, shuts the Bears offense down. Again, the Lions at home, I think they're taking this dub.
Yeah, I know you're predicting it to be close, which is making me kind of think about it a little differently, because I'm like, well, maybe this could be a close game. And you saw the Lions giving up all those yards to Justin Herbert. Maybe Justin Fields can actually come out and have a good game. Yeah. But this defense at home, the Lions are generally better at home, just They are.
Yeah.
So I do think that's going to play in their favor. But I'm pulling
Worth
for the
something.
Bears. Yeah, but I'm pulling for the Bears for you.
I appreciate that. Kyle and I, that's we love doing that. We love pulling for each other's team, even when we're betting against them. We're not betting, but like picking against them. So I appreciate it. I just hope that.
No, I'm kidding.
Kyle's like, no. I'm putting money into this. I just hope that Justin Fields comes back and looks a little bit better. He just looks a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely a year where the expectations, they're not that high for Bears fans. They're just looking for the simple things in life.
Yeah.
Our next game is a quarterback looking for the simple things in life. Jordan Love. Is he the Packers quarterback? Is he the long-term answer? Is he progressing week in and week out? We don't know yet. And the Chargers just played a really close game with the Lions. This is definitely a game that makes a big difference. The Chargers being in LA or the middle of November, late November in Green Bay. I think the Chargers win, but I think this is upset of the week material. And the reason is because the Chargers tend to play down to their competition, just as a general rule of thumb. And you don't even trust the Chargers at home. And now, we're getting to the time of year where Lambeau's a real home field advantage. When you get to late November, December, I'm hard pressed to go against the Packers, even when I don't really believe in them that much. So just being in Lambeau, the Packers are coming off a bye week, I believe, too. So they're well rested for this game. And the Chargers just played a really, really kind of grinded out football game and lost at the end of it. I think that's demoralizing. And I think the Packers are going to capitalize on it. I'm going to say upset of the week, Green Bay at home.
That's crazy. An upset at home. I mean, we've seen it before, but it's just, to me, it's insane. So these are my notes for this game. Chargers, but like by a field goal or something close. That is literally it, because none of these teams inspire any confidence whatsoever. Kyle, you put it perfectly. We're questioning the Chargers at home some weeks, right? I'm questioning the Packers at home. You said they're underdogs? Yeah, they're underdogs. +3 at home. It's just like neither of these teams get anything done. I am taking the Chargers, though, but like you said, they play down to their competition. The Chargers have the much better offensive players on their team, and they've showed that they can be very effective. They can get a lot of yards. They can get a lot of points. But, yeah, they play down to their competition. The Packers on the other side, they need to continue running the ball a little bit more, and Jordan Love needs to inspire something in that passing game, man. I mean, he's having a tough year overall. But I'm taking the Chargers in Lambeau. They're going to win, like I said, by like a field goal or something.
Yeah, well, that is what they're supposed to win by. 3. Man, Brandon Staley is just such a bad coach, and I think it's one of those where it's like, leave it to him to find a way to lose this game. By the way, this is a borderline must-win game for the Chargers. And see what's going on in the AFC with the Bills and the Bengals and even the Chiefs, who lost 2 weeks ago. And you're like, your window of opportunity is still there. But it gets to a point where it's like, if you don't, get it together, it's going to be gone. And, as a Broncos fan, I need the Chargers to lose as well. So this kind of plays into like Packers fandom mixed with Broncos fandom. So I got to just be honest about some of the biases that may or may not be existing. But
100%.
With all of that said, if Vegas says Green Bay's a 3-point underdog, I know that I'm not that crazy, because, it's not like they're predicting Vegas to win or the Chargers to win by 10 or 13.
Exactly.
Because that's how you can tell how crazy you are, is when this, it's like that. And you're like, wait, my upset is a 13-point underdog. Maybe I picked the wrong upset.
Yeah, right.
And technically, in my opinion, a real upset of the week has to be at least a 3-point underdog. Like if you're a 1-point underdog, that's like, okay, you didn't pick an upset. They didn't know who was going to win. You know what I mean? But once you get to 3 points, then it's like, okay, that's kind of like my line for upset of the week. You got to at least be predicting a 3-point underdog wins the game. Anyway, with all that said, I'm taking the Green Bay Packers as my upset of the week.
Kyle's wrong. They're going to lose.
And there's that as well. Don't worry, you're gonna. Oh my God, you're gonna love this game, man. You're gonna love this game.
Oh God.
I'm talking about your favorite quarterback in the league, Kyler Murray, hitting the road.
Shut the fuck
going
up.
to play CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's turning out to be a generational type of talent that was drafted by the Texans, DeMeco Ryans, and they're coming off a win in Cincinnati. Now they get to come home with all the good vibes and their fans. The Cardinals, though, coming off of a win themselves. Kyler Murray trying to build momentum and turn the Cardinals season around if it's still possible in a weak NFC. You're going to get Arizona's best shot. I'm going to take the Texans here, but it's not by much.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure this mic out real quick. Yes. Okay. So you're also taking the Texans because, yes, I'm also taking the Texans. And Kyler last week didn't give him credit. Even you said it. Like, dude, he led his team all the way down the field to get a game-winning field goal. I didn't give him enough credit. You're right. And I apologize to absolutely no one. No, I'm just kidding. I apologize to Kyler. How great would that have moment been?
That would have been awesome.
I am taking the Texans, though, at home with how well CJ Stroud has been playing. We talked about it on Monday's episode. This guy's getting MVP nods right now. Not only Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, this guy's getting MVP nods as a rookie. No one's done that, I believe, since Jim Brown was a rookie. In the Cleveland Browns, like not until like, what was that, the 60s, the 50s, some shit like that. Not until then has anybody garnered any attention like CJ Stroud has this year. So while I think that the Texans still struggle against, teams with better quarterbacks with really good offensive weapons, that game against the Panthers, I feel like was an anomaly in this season. Kyler's the one that's going to make it close. But at the end, I think the Texans, at the end of the day, will take this win at home. CJ Stroud's going to have probably another 400 yards passing and probably like 2 or 3 more touchdowns. This kid has only got 2 interceptions through 10 weeks of football. That's not normal. That's not something you see in today's NFL with rookie quarterbacks. That's just not a thing. So this guy's playing out of his mind. Again, Kyler Murray being back for the Cardinals gives Cardinals fans and Arizona something to watch on Sunday. Like he's actually being good. Like he's not, obviously it's been only 1 week and Cardinals fans are probably like, okay, well, let's temper expectations right now. But again, you're giving the Arizona Cardinals fans time and something to root for on Sundays. So Kyler's going to make this one a close game. I've got everything so far this week up, everything's going to be a close game except that Cowboys and Panthers game. But everything up to this point, Cardinals and Texans, it's going to be a very, very, very another close game.
Yeah, and last year we saw the most games, I think, since 1960 or something crazy, the most games that ended in a field goal. So you had so many games last week that were coming down to the wire. And it's just crazy because just a little while ago, we would have been like, this game is a snooze fest,
Yeah.
And now the Texans and CJ Stroud are must-see TV. I mean, that's just how electric he is. And then Kyler Murray coming back, it's like all of a sudden, and I put it up there, this has shootout potential because you got 2 teams with confident quarterbacks and you got no defense,
Yeah.
The Texans have the better defense, but still it's not great. And I do think that's something DeMeco Ryans is going to improve on. I think his defense is going to get better the more years that they're in his system.
Mm-hmm.
But this could still be a high-scoring game. I will say I would take the over. And it is set right now at 49 points. So
Wow, really?
So 25-24. I think it's going to be
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it being like a 31-27 type of game, something like that. I could definitely see that. So
yeah.
I'm a little surprised, but I'm also like, oh wait, no, that's totally like seeable. Like that, I could see that score happening. So again, Texans taking it at home.
Sometimes it seems like a lot until you break it down into a score, and you're
Exactly.
like, oh, that could definitely happen.
That's not that much.
Here's something I didn't think would happen. I didn't think last week the 49ers were going to come in and roll a team that had the longest current winning streak at the time and keep them from scoring a single touchdown in the game. Now they do have a get-right game back at home against a Titans team that is not doing very good. Derrick Henry limited to just 3 fantasy points last week. So, I mean, that just tells you where the Titans are at, because we know that that's their whole team. So with Derrick Henry's not, a factor, the Titans are in trouble, right? So I'm going to take Jacksonville to win this game. It's not too hard to think about it. The only thing is Mike Vrabel is an underdog in these divisional matchups. This team has always been weird. Like even when Jacksonville was bad, the Colts would struggle against them. And, the Titans, Jags, and Colts, now Houston, but those three for a long time have always been just, you're never so confident about it. But I do think this is one of the exceptions where Jacksonville could win this game by like 3 scores.
Okay, so I've got the opposite. I think the Jags win.
In Titans.
No. I take the Jags winning.
Your foes first.
Kyle couldn't even get the fucking sentence right. He's like, you heard it first. Fuck's done. I think the expectations going into this game is kind of like what you're saying. The Jags have the opportunity to win this one by 3 scores at home in a divisional matchup. I don't know what the over-under for this game is, but everybody take the under, because this is going to turn out to be like a
39.5. I got it right here.
Yeah, this is going to be like a stinker of a game, dude.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, this one, you said 39.5?
Yeah, 39.5.
Okay, yeah, this is going to be like a 17-10, 13-10 type of game. And I don't know why this is like, I don't want to say it's my don't touch it, but it's just one that I find absolutely disgusting. That I'm just like, I don't even know if there's going to be that much offense in this game. And I'm calling a 17-10, 13-10 type of game. The Jags get the win, but I think there's like that expectation of they're going to score 35. They're going to hold the Titans to like whatever, 10, 12 points or 10, 13 points. I mean, but I think it's just going to be one of those where the offenses, both of them, look terrible. Again, you got a rookie quarterback on one end. You got Trevor Lawrence on the other, who just came off a terrible loss against the 49ers. So I just can't see this game really going over like 30 points total, I would say. So take the under, but I'm still taking the Jags to win. They're better than the Titans for sure.
Yeah, Jacksonville definitely in the classic bounce back spot. I definitely think that that's going to happen. This is a good opportunity for Jacksonville to show their ceiling, their true ceiling, and how good that they can be when they're playing. And I think that's kind of the way I'm leaning with it. But I could definitely see it becoming one of those Mike Vrabel Titans, 6-12, especially after Jacksonville only scored 3 points. But I'm gonna put my faith in Duval and say that they bounce back in a big way.
Yep, I'm going Duval.
Absolutely,
like that was good.
That was good. Yeah. All right, our next game is none other than the Raiders
Mm-hmm.
Oh, grr. The Raiders.
The Raiders.
Raiders. Dude, I had a family member just go to Vegas, and they know I love football, so they brought me back a present. And I was like, that is so sweet, but you have no idea what you just gave me.
No way. I can't see it. Is that a Raiders?
Yeah.
Oh my. Do they know you're a Broncos fan and that they're in the same division?
No.
Or okay.
No, they just know I like football, and it's a helmet, and that's so sweet.
It is sweet. It's sweet.
It is. Okay,
Yeah.
so anyway, the Raiders are going to go to Miami, and they're feeling really good. They're on a 2-game win streak. AP's got them believing, but Miami plays really good against bad teams, kind of like the Cowboys, and they also play their best football at home. I'm taking the Dolphins and Tyreek to have a big game. More of the same from what we're seeing when Miami plays at home is what I expect.
More of the same at home and more of the same of just beating bad teams in general. They're going to hand AP his first loss as an interim head coach in this game. And I think they're going to do it pretty convincingly. This is one of the other games other than that Dallas Panthers game where I see the Dolphins, and maybe this is just like early season Dolphins offense, but I can see them kind of getting back to that where they're scoring, upwards of 30 points. And, maybe the Raiders score about 20, 23. But the Dolphins are going to win this by 2 score, guaranteed. You have Rick's guarantee on that. The Dolphins are winning by 2 score against the Raiders. Again, the Raiders are playing inspired. They've won 2 in a row, just like you said. But, here we go. Is he going to burn it?
Folks,
Kyle
I just wanted you to know, on my left hand, I'm holding Rick's guarantee. And on my right hand, I'm holding something of actual value.
Oh, you guys should see what he's got between his cheeks. He's holding something down there. Raiders are playing inspired 2 games in a row. I think the awesomeness of AP coming in as interim and Josh McDaniel, I think that's going to wear off this time. Aiden O'Connell, rookie quarterback. The Dolphins defense has gotten to the quarterback quite a bit, and I think that's what's going to happen in this game. Dolphins get at least 3 sacks. Guarantee the Dolphins win by 2 score. McDaniels, Tyreek, Waddle, Tua, Mostert, all these guys going to go ham in this game.
We get it. You play Madden. Yeah, I think that this is prime. Like, let me just be clear too. The Raiders winning those 2 games does not mean that the Raiders are a contender. I'm sorry, but they're not
at all.
I understand that record-wise they're in the hunt, but if you're looking at this game thinking, oh, this could be the kind of game Miami needs to beat a contender in order to feel good about themselves, don't elevate a team just because you're playing them so your win looks like it's better, because what you really need is to be honest with yourself, and you need to treat this like a team that you should win by 2 scores. So I'm definitely with you on that. And the Raiders, we'll see what they look like. And this is exciting, man, because we're getting more AP. We're getting more of like, okay, is this a fluke? Or because you beat the Jets and Zach Wilson, who cares?
Yeah.
But if you could somehow find a way to win this game, all of a sudden the whole world is like, maybe the Raiders are contenders. Maybe Josh McDaniels is like the worst coach ever, and all they needed was new leadership. So I think sometimes just having that opportunity is enough for the players to go out and keep a game close, because that's something to wake up for. That's something to be like pumped. It's hard for Miami to get pumped for this game, but the Raiders, on the other hand, can get super pumped for this game. So, I do think that might keep it a little bit closer than it should be, but it's the NFL. A win is a win.
A win is a win is a win. Jinja, thank you for being in the streams. Cheers. Have a good night, man.
See you, Jinja. I panicked. I didn't know. Okay. Do you got anything else on this game before we move on to our next game? Trick question. You don't. I'm kidding.
No, I want to pose a question to you actually, and maybe even the chat too.
Okay.
If Miami wins this game, right, they will go to, and let me just double check here their record. So if Miami wins this game, they will go up to 7-3. Raiders go down to 5-6. 7-3 Dolphins. If they win this game, are they in the playoffs? Like, is this somewhat of a game changer, or are you looking at a 7-3 Dolphins team still going? I don't think they make it.
I'm gonna say that the Dolphins are already a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the Dolphins are going to be in the playoffs, and I think a lot of people probably felt that way by like week 5, to be honest. Like, I don't think this is the game that's going to be like, I do think every game they win mathematically, their odds are going to increase, but I wouldn't say that a win would necessarily like change my confidence level. However, a loss would, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
so and I totally get that, the mathematical portion, because they're the best team in their division right now. The Bills suck right now, right? The only reason I ask, right, is because what I said, right? Like, they're good at beating bad teams. They're just, when they get up to their competition where it's like these teams are in playoffs, these are playoff teams, they just seem to like really falter right at that moment.
Crumble under the pressure.
Exactly. Where the Bills, they're going to have a tough stretch of games coming up, but they are currently, after that loss last week, they are currently 5-5. Like, mathematically, the Dolphins are in the playoffs, but when they get to even worse or better competition, I should say, who would you rather take? Would you rather take the Bills team, or would you take the Dolphins team? And I guess, going forward in this season, depending on the competition, like, maybe the Bills can eke one out, eke a playoff spot. And I just mean that based on like what they've done at better competition, the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think Buffalo is definitely going to stay competitive. So much where I think, because you're the division leader right now is Miami. And then you got the Jets, who are going to try to stay 500, but may not have success. And then you look at Buffalo, and that's the only other team, which firing Ken Dorsey might turn into be a good thing. And maybe all of a sudden, if Miami loses a game like this and Buffalo, wins, all of a sudden they're only one game back and they're still going to play Miami. So, yeah, but it's getting to that part of the year where you just have to beat you have to win your winnable games. Yes. And when you don't, you end up like the situation that Cincinnati's in, right? Just a couple weeks ago, they were rolling through everybody. Joe Burrow 100%. Was healthy, and then they lose to the Texans. And then today it's like, oh shit, are they going to make the playoffs? So yeah, it's just the margin between a playoff team and a good team that missed the playoffs is one game, So
yeah, I figured I'd just pose that question because, like you said, mathematically they're in. I just think just so far through 10 weeks, what does that mean?
I still don't think though that they're going to beat any of the big dogs, to be honest.
And I think Steve said it too. I think they're one and done in the playoffs. So
yeah, especially with the type of football they play doesn't translate well to January. Here's a team that won't be playing in January. Bill, close your ears. The Giants at Commanders. This is crazy to me because I understand the Giants are bad, but Commanders 10-point favorites? Holy crap. Wow. I mean, you're basically saying that, that they're complete. I won't do it, but that's what you're saying. And I just think, man, I feel like the Giants are getting a little disrespected here. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to take the Commanders to win, but with this kind of spread, Giants plus 10 is my pick.
Yeah, and Bill, again, I'm sorry for mentioning this. He said we've been underdogs for 10 years. I'm used to it. I just this is easy a Commanders win for me. Easy Commanders win. And Howell goes for 400 fucking yards again in passing. Like this is probably an easy one for me. You got Tommy DeVito over here going deep.
Tommy DeVito going deep.
Intercepted. That's exactly what's going to happen in this game. Tommy DeVito is going to try. Saquon Barkley is going to try. But the Washington Commanders know all they got to do is stop Saquon, and they're going to load that box hard. The thing is, the Washington Commanders have also struggled in the secondary in their pass defense. So will you let I would assume you're going to try to let Tommy DeVito beat you, right? You're going to let this guy try to beat you in this game, and just make sure to shut down Saquon. So I assume that's the game plan for the Commanders. That's something I would do. Fuck it. Let Tommy DeVito try to beat us. We're going to blitz. We're going to stuff the box for Saquon, and we're going to stop him. We're going to get him under 50 yards rushing probably, and Tommy DeVito is going to throw 2 picks. Howell, on the other hand, is going to go absolutely crazy. He's going to go for 400 yards. He's going to go for 3 touchdowns, maybe an interception because that's what he's good for usually. And the Commanders are going to come out with the dub, and they are at home, I believe. Yes, they're at home. So yeah, this is going to help them even more.
And one thing about this game, you got both teams coming in with a freshly bruised defensive ego. Think about what happened last week. Jack Del Rio, who I've complimented plenty of times, I think he's a good coach, gave up 489 yards. That's the most Washington surrendered since they were called the football team.
It's a great name. What do you mean?
It is a football team.
Yeah,
it is a football.
Definitely a football team.
But and then you look at the Giants, and they gave up 640 yards. The most New York has surrendered since its days at the Polo Grounds.
Oof.
This is going to be a rough week of practice for both these defenses. But I just wanted to say it. I got nothing to say about it. That's it.
This is actually
it's like, oh, this isn't a joke. I'm just reporting the news.
This is facts. Also, you want to know another fact that Bill just put in the chat? Tommy DeVito is the top touchdown passer on the New York Giants this year, over Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor. Tommy DeVito has played a game and a half, and he's got more touchdown passes than their starter and backup. That's all you need to know of this game. That is all you need to know.
Yeah, hopefully for you, Bill, I hope that it works out. I hope the Giants play a tough football game and that it's watchable.
We'll see about that.
Our next game is definitely watchable. And it's intriguing too, because one of these teams, we go back and forth on picking them to make the playoffs. And the other team we talked about just a little while ago that came in and totally crushed the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tampa Bay hitting the road. Like, I think Tampa is going to have one of those games where it is clear that the NFC South, no matter who wins, is going to be a bad team. And what I mean is that Tampa Bay, Florida, San Francisco is a very far flight.
Yeah.
And I think that it's probably the furthest you can fly in the NFL. And unless Miami played Seattle, in Seattle, or vice versa, I guess it would be the same distance no matter who is at home.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
Boston, LA?
I think Miami, Seattle.
Yeah. Actually, okay, that makes that
yeah, because I know I used to do that flight like twice a year, and it's like 7 hours.
Oof.
Like I could have gotten to Italy almost from Miami.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god. And instead, you're just traveling across the U.S.
You're flying across the whole entire country.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do think that San Francisco coming back at home with that big win. I just think San Francisco is going to be way too much for Tampa to handle, and I don't get this one being a close game.
Yeah, I agree, man. This is up there with my games that are going to be basically blowouts. Niners are going to win their second in a row, man. They know how lucky they are with the fact that Seattle got blown out by the Ravens at home to still be tied there with Seattle in terms of the division. I think Bose is going to get 3 sacks here on Baker. I we talk about what Baker and like Mike Evans do, how consistent he is. Rashad White's really good there in the running game. Again, the Niners got their bye week, were able to get a win last week, are going to be at home against, like you said, a traveled Tampa Bay team. And this isn't like England or anything where we're like, why the fuck are they traveling on Friday? But this is still going to be enough of a change where it's going to suck to play the 49ers at, what is it, like 1 o'clock here when you think it's 4 o'clock back at home, whatever it might be.
It's better to go that way than to go this way.
Yeah, that's true.
But still, it's an adjustment period. Like we just saw
sucks.
For the Buffalo game, Denver, if they would have flown back after Monday Night Football, they would have got back in Denver at 5 a.m. Denver time.
That
so
sucks.
and then you lose that whole next day. Or you skip it completely, but you're already on a short week because you played Monday night. So your game's in 6 days. Now you're going to have to take a whole nother day just to rest. Now you only got 4 games. It's like Thursday Night Football. You know what I mean? Exactly.
And you put up a perfect stat. Pairing Chase Young with Nick Bosa in the edge has already looked like a winning move for the 49ers. And I think it's going to continue for the rest of the season. Will Chase Young get an extension with the 49ers? Probably not, but he's poised to be on a playoff team and a division winning team, a team that's going to host a playoff game at home. So already, like I said, Nick Bosa is probably going to get 3 sacks on Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's going to try his hardest and probably be replaced in this game in the fourth quarter.
Damn.
Niners win.
Clearly.
Just in case you guys didn't get that from what I was saying.
If at the very end you're like, and Brock Purdy gets replaced at the third quarter.
And
he's going to get hurt.
Bucks are going to win. Fucked up.
Yeah, bad joke. So I got nothing more on that game, but you and I are like on the exact same page on that game.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. So this game, I got a message on my Twitter. God, okay. I'm still old. I'm still not good at it. Talking about it. I got a message on my Twitter.
A little message on my Twitter here.
It was actually on YouTube, and it was Little E. This is the part of the show where I'm going to shout out Little E.
Little E.
And he told me straight up, I need the Jets to beat the Bills because I have a bet with one of my friends who's a diehard Bills fan. And if the Bills lose, he's got to wear a Packers hat or an Aaron Rodgers jersey for an entire week, or maybe just for a game, but still, that's a hell of a bet. Now, as football fan,
yes,
what kind of bet this is. This is me wearing a Mahomes jersey. This is you wearing a Packer jersey. This is a big one for Lil E, and I'll let you go. Bills are 7-point favorites at home. Just fired their offensive coordinator. Bad loss against the Broncos. Rick, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking the Bills win, man. I'm thinking the Bills get a dub, but not without Josh Allen throwing another interception. He's leading the league right now with 11, and he's thrown one in all but 2 games. And I think Josh Allen is going to do a lot of the scoring on his own. I think he's going to throw one. I think he's going to rush for one, but he is going to have a turnover. And I think Stephon Diggs has a big game in this game at home. I know for the Bills that doesn't really mean much, and the Jets defense is so good. But the thing that is the saving grace is that I would take the Bills offense over the Jets offense any fucking day, dude, because Robert Saleh is just not taking Zach Wilson out of this game. He is not going to let anybody else come in quarterback for him. It is Zach Wilson or die for the Jets. And right now, I know a lot of Jets fans are like, I really would rather die because Zach Wilson is tough, man. And look, it's that offense is a culmination of 2 things. Zach Wilson's inability to make good decisions and the offensive line letting up just anybody through, man. Zach Wilson has done really well in late game, those like 2-minute drills, whatever. He's obviously, we won that one game against the Giants where he was able to march his team down the field for a game-winning field goal. And he looked good in that. And Jets fans are like, where is that Zach? Where is that Zach during the first 3.5 quarters, right? And he just does not appear no matter what. We talk about, earlier in the stream when we were streaming Thursday Night Football. Hey, Lamar, when he gets all that protection on the line, that confidence starts to build up. It doesn't seem to work with Zach. He can do really well in the last 2 minutes, minute 45 of a game. And then the next game from quarters 1 through 4, he just looks like absolute
dog
shit. And Salah is just like, I don't know. I'm going to stick with him because we have the best chance to win with him. All right, Coach Xerxes, you do you, brother. I think the Bills are going to be able to do this, man. I think they're going to be able to win. It's going to be tough to go against this Jets defense, who is fucking elite. And Bill said, Sauce Gardner gets 2 interceptions. I don't know if he throws 2. I don't know if Allen throws 2, but I'm definitely going to throw 1. But I still think even with what's going on in Buffalo, they still get the win here against the Jets at home. Kyle?
Story time.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
All right. So this is about Nathaniel Hackett.
Nice. Okay. What a loser.
Now, a lot of stuff was made out of, I don't know if you saw Cortland Sutton Twitter post, but it was a Russell Wilson apology form, and you have to check a box. And the first box said, mark why you said Russ was watched. And the first box says, because Nathaniel Hackett was trash and the media convinced me it was Russ. And there's all kinds of different, I'm a Seahawks fan and I just don't want him to succeed. I don't like that his wife's hot, whatever. And it was funny, but it was also like, well, Cortland Sutton just called out Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
He literally said he was a washed coach.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look at this. Nathaniel Hackett came in with the whole let Russ cook, okay? All of that.
Mm-hmm.
He had Russ throwing over 30 passes 10 times last year. Denver was 3-7 in those games, okay? Sean Payton, a little slow to learn in the beginning, but
yeah,
they found a successful formula. When Russ throws the ball 30 times this year, Denver's 0-4. When he throws less than 30, 4-1. Nathaniel Hackett has, I believe, really good plays that he wants to call. And I do think that he's just one of those guys that doesn't play to his players, but he really tries to instill a system.
Yes.
And he becomes so, I guess, stubborn with it. Nathaniel Hackett, his offenses since 2022, Rick, this is mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
12 out of 24 of those games, the Jets got 1 touchdown. The other half,
oh my God.
Now, they could have gotten more than 1, but at least 1 touchdown in half. That means close your eyes and pick one, and you're likely 50% holding a Jets game without a single touchdown. Like, this is so bad. It's amazing that this guy still has a job.
They've gone 2 games in a row already without touchdowns.
Yeah, dude, and we're watching it happen where it's like, oh my God, the Jets look bad last year, but they look worse offensively this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think as much as like the Aaron Rodgers thing, it's like that's the only guy that I think could make Nathaniel Hackett work, and that's not an option right now.
Nope.
So I think that it's one of those where they brought in Nathaniel Hackett to get Rodgers, but Rodgers is out, so they can't fire Nathaniel Hackett because he's going to come back. You know what I mean? But it's a shitty situation that New York finds himself in. And I think Buffalo is going to, after week 1, the way they lost with that overtime punt return and Josh Allen threw a couple picks, this is going to be Buffalo's maybe their best game of the year. And I'm not sure it has to do with them losing Ken Dorsey, but more has to do with being embarrassed so much this year.
Yeah, that's definitely a good motivator too. And I think the Ken Dorsey thing, I don't think it's necessarily the offensive coordinator. In the Jets case, it is again a culmination of both Zach Wilson and the offensive line, but Jesus Christ, Nathaniel Hackett sucks too, right? Like again, he was brought in for Aaron Rodgers, and that's its own thing. Whatever, we're not going to see that with the Bills. I don't think it was necessarily Ken Dorsey. I think there's just like Josh Allen takes a lot of chances, and while that is something that has made Josh Allen his thing, it has made Josh Allen Josh Allen. You also look at Stephon Diggs. They acquired him in his third season, and he really started balling out. Now, it may not have all been Stephon Diggs that, the reason that Josh Allen has become Josh Allen, but it is definitely attributed to that, right? And while I don't think that forcing it to Stephon Diggs, because you have Gabriel out there, you've got Dalton Kincaid out there, you got a lot of weapons. I mean, you had Dawson Knox last year too, for however long he's been there. Like you got other weapons. I don't think forcing it to Stephon Diggs is the best option, because we've seen in games that does not always work. But it's just like spread the ball around. You got players, but try to keep those interceptions, try to keep those mistakes to a minimum, which seems like obvious advice, but it just with Josh Allen, it seems like you got to push that advice a little bit more with him. So again, I agree with you. I think they're going to beat the Jets. I don't know about their best game ever, but I do think the embarrassment of what's been going on this season and who they've been the last 3-4 seasons is definitely going to push them to be like, if we can't win against a team that can't score an offensive fucking touchdown, we really need to reevaluate who the fuck we are this season.
Yeah, and it's already happened once. So, I mean, for Zach Wilson, the confidence is there. And we'll see if the Bills play a good game with a brand new offense coordinator. I'm sure he's going to want to do great. Our next game is the Seattle Seahawks traveling not too far, divisional rival, going down to LA, about 2.5 hours from Seattle. Not a bad flight. This is going to be probably the most beautiful weather in the country. Matthew Stafford he was dealing with an injury. He's expected to return in this game. He injured his thumb in week 8, so it's been a minute. I do think if the Rams are going to go on a playoff race, it's got to be with Matthew Stafford. The Rams are almost unwatchable without him. So now that they're getting him back, this is a sneaky game. Seahawks are favored to win this by -1, but I think this is going to be a game that Seattle reminds you that every time we buy in, they pull back. And I'm going to take the Rams to upset Seattle.
Ooh. This is a tough one, dude. This is a tough one for me. Initially I was thinking about the Rams. And I'm like, okay, they're at home. Matthew Stafford may or may not play, or his health, whatever it is. He's going to play, but is he really Matthew Stafford right now? And his health has been in question the last 2 seasons, pretty much ever since they won the Super Bowl. And then I look at the Seahawks and I think, Jesus Christ, they really want to continue this run they've had with Geno Smith and the offensive weapons they had, and how they've basically come out of nowhere with Geno Smith as their quarterback to become a playoff contending team. And I think they're not really traveling that far. They just got embarrassed last week, and we talked about the Bills and how that embarrassment can really be a motivator. And I'm going to take the Seahawks in LA to take the dub against the Rams, man. The Rams have just struggled offensively, whether it's their kicker, the missing field goals, whether it's Matthew Stafford missing games due to injury and their backup just not doing much. The Rams do have a lot of talent there on their team, but the defense for the Seahawks is just a little bit better. They just got the edge rusher from the Giants, and he hasn't really made an impact. I believe this game is the one where he does make an impact, where that whole defense starts to make an impact. Bobby Wagner, former Ram, he went from Seahawks to the Rams, back to the Seahawks. I think really isn't really a revenge game. I think it's just more or less like, oh yeah, I played on that team kind of thing. But he's going to want to make a statement in LA. I think the Seahawks win. They keep that tie atop the NFC West with the 49ers.
Yeah, I could totally see it. And when I first looked at this game, I thought Seattle, right away. But the Rams did kind of beat the shit out of Seattle week 1, like you said. It was,
That's true. Yeah.
and then on top of that, that might be the kind of energy that the Rams need to get back on track. And Sean McVay with Matthew Stafford is just got way more options as a play caller. There's so much more that this Rams team can do with Puka Nacua, with Cooper Kupp. They're not. It's just one of those cases where like Sean McVay has Pete Carroll's number, and that's really what it is. And you see this all the time where even like the 49ers struggled against the Rams, where or it might be the other way around, where even when the Rams won the Super Bowl, they were like 0-2 against 49ers. Like sometimes that's just how it goes with coaches. And I'm gonna roll with the Rams here. I don't feel great about it, but this is definitely a coin flip game anyway, so no one's gonna feel good about it, no matter which side you're on.
Yep, and Steve agrees. Seahawks look better than the Rams. The Rams did get, I just saw right now, they got their middle linebacker back. And last week when they played against the Green Bay Packers, they let up like over 180 yards rushing. And I think one of the reasons was because their middle linebacker, what's his name? Ernest Jones, and their nose tackle, Bobby Brown, were not there. They were injured, so they were out. The running defense suffered. They're back. And obviously you have Kenneth Walker there in Seattle, one of the better young running backs, obviously, in the game right now. It might affect it. So Geno Smith might have to be the guy who beats the Rams outright. But I still think the Kenneth Walker has pretty decent game, 75 yards rushing.
I could see it.
Oh, yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. Carrie Underwood, I think she says, waiting all day for Sunday night. All right, here's a ABC. Broncos and the Vikings are the best on TV.
Broncos. All the exclamations.
I'm super pumped about this. I guess it helps a little bit when you play Monday night to play Sunday night versus playing Sunday. Not sure about that, but this is a game that a couple weeks ago looked like it might get flexed, and it will not be flexed because the Vikings are on a 5-game winning streak. Joshua Dobbs is the feel-good story of the NFL right now. The Denver Broncos have beaten Kansas City and Buffalo in the last 2 weeks. They're going to be at home. Russell Wilson is proving on national TV he's still got something left in him. This Broncos team is playing pretty inspired right now. Who do you got, Rick?
Kyle, can you remind me who the Broncos have been the last 2 weeks? Which quarterbacks have they been the last 2 weeks?
It was Josh Allen.
Okay, yeah, Josh Allen, former AFC Championship game,
Patrick Mahomes.
Josh Allen, give me the fucking Broncos at home on Sunday Night Football, baby. Give me the fucking Broncos.
Wait, no, you're supposed to pick the Vikings.
Give me the fucking Vikings in Denver. 5 games in a row. Joshua Dobbs is the feel-good story of the year. Give me the Vikings to trample, to just horse stomp all over the Broncos. You know what's better than a Bronco? A fucking Clydesdale. That's what the Vikings are. No, dude, I think I'm taking the Broncos, man, at home. I love Russ Wilson. I love what they're doing right now in Denver. And I really, really hope I'm not ruining this for you. I really hope I'm not ruining this for you.
You picked the Chiefs and Denver won. You picked the Bills and Denver won. I hope that they're good enough to deal with it. I'm gonna say this. Denver could definitely lose this game. And this is there's a lot of factors. Like one of them is when you come off an emotional win, sometimes it's hard to get ready for the next week. And it's like, okay, what's really going to get Denver excited for this game after playing the Chiefs and Bills? Now you're playing the Vikings. But I do think that kind of cancels out the fact that they're at home in prime time again. I think that will the crowd will be really into it. And because of that, I think that Denver's going to be there ready to play football. The Vikings, though, playing really inspired. And like Denver does have a weakness, right? And it's running their rushing defense. But the Vikings don't really have anybody that could really exploit that about Denver. It's not like they're playing, Derrick Henry or Breece Hall. Minnesota doesn't really have a running back like that. So I think that helps. Another thing, Joshua Dobbs has thrown a lot of interceptions. He has been really careless with the ball. I know he's won, but if you look behind these two Minnesota games, you'll find turnovers. And I do think that Denver's going to keep their turnover thing going. I think they take the ball away at least 2 times from the Vikings, and I think that's going to be one of the keys to victory. We know Denver's going to run the football 30 times. We know that they're going to rely on their defense to get the job done at home, and it's not probably going to be a high-scoring game, but I think Denver wins 20-23.
2023, yeah, I can also see a very close game, and the reason being is because, like you said, they don't let Russell Wilson cook. Like, let's be honest. That's the reason he was winning in Seattle. That's the reason he's winning now, is because Sean Payton.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say his numbers are the same that he had in Seattle, basically. Like, right now.
But you're also saying like less than 30 times throwing. He's got a much better record, right? Like it just seems to be that way. You've got Javonte Williams. You've got these running backs who can make the like these on these first down runs, make it a very manageable second and third down when you need to just get 6-7 yards. For a good place for me to shoot some bullshit your way. Fucking Steve. I love Steve. I think the offense is going to be good enough, and the defense has started to step up a lot better as well, to where, again, you don't need Russell Wilson to throw for more than 30 times. I think one of the biggest reasons too that he has stats like that is, again, what defense has he played with? He's played with the Legion of Boom. He's played with a defense in the Broncos last year that was averaging 17 points given up, something like that, right? And they took a hit earlier this season, but they're starting to get a little bit better. Vance Joseph did something. I don't know what Vance Joseph did. Maybe he's the one not calling the plays. Whatever it may be, it's working. So
he put people on the field that wanted to be there.
Exactly. That's another thing. Sean Payton is also another guy like Randy Gregory. Oh, okay, cool. See you, dude. The door's right there. We're going to get these young guys who want to play. On the other side, the Minnesota Vikings, Joshua Dobbs. I love the story. I absolutely love it. He came in for an injured Jaren Hall in that first quarter of the game, was able to win the game even after basically mayhem broke out with him as a safety, fumbles, whatever. He wins a game last week. It's looking good. He's the Pastronaut, as they call him. NASA has called him.
Yeah.
And they're doing all this again. We mention it without Justin Jefferson. Hawkinson, I believe, was also injured last week, so he was doing a lot without Hawkinson too. I think this Denver defense is going to shut this guy down. I like Joshua Dobbs. I like the story. I think they're going to shut him down. I don't think the Vikings score more than 17 points in this game, and I think the Broncos score at minimum 24. 2 touchdowns from Javonte Williams on Sunday night.
Fuck yes. I love that, because the Vikings, in their winning streak that they've had fewer than 20 points in 4 or 5 games. So it's not Minnesota's offense that's been winning in these games. Brian Flores' defense has been winning these games, and that's why Brian Flores is going to be a hot head coach candidate probably in a couple years, because he is definitely got the defensive side of the ball down, because Minnesota definitely does have a talent deficiency. They don't have a ton of talent, and Brian Flores is finding a way to make them play better. And as soon as Minnesota started playing better, you saw Minnesota start winning football games. It reminds me of Dan Campbell. As soon as he got the defensive side to average 17 points per game, that's when Detroit went on that 7-game winning streak at the end of last season. This is kind of what made Minnesota turn their corner. This is what made Denver turn their corner. Quite frankly, the teams that are trending in the right direction right now are playing good defense. When you look at Jacksonville, when they were on their 5-game winning streak, they were tied for first in takeaways in the NFL. I mean, if you really want to get to the bottom of it, you got to find the teams that are playing good defense right now, and those are the teams that are going to keep winning games because scoring is down. Overall, in the NFL this season, scoring is way down, and a lot of people are wondering why is that. Well, I don't have the answer for that. I would probably have to think about it a little longer, but I will say what that tells me is that the teams that are playing the best defense are going to win most of their games if scoring's down. So, Denver's going to have to put up more than 20 points. And you said that they're going to score 24. I think if Denver scores 24, I think they win. The question is which one of these teams is going to score more than 20? That's really who's going to win this game.
And another stat, Russell Wilson, 4th best, career passer rating in primetime games. Let me just read a couple of the names.
Wow.
Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes, Steve Young, Peyton Manning, Dak Prescott, Romo, Cousins. He's 4th in that list. Oh, by the way, he's also got the best winning percentage in primetime games since his career, 720%, 29 and 11 in primetime games. 29 and 11 in primetime games is Russell Wilson. So,
he loves those cameras. He loves those cameras.
He fucking loves those cameras. He fucking loves them. So,
Broncos.
I'm very confident.
Let's
ride.
Broncos country. Let's
ride. Broncos country. Let's ride.
One more time, Broncos country. Let's ride. Broncos country. Let's ride.
One more time, Broncos.
I'll say, because in the real video, that's the girl in the background. She has no idea that this is like going to be the worst thing in Russell Wilson's career. One more time, Broncos country. Let's ride. Last stat I'll give you, 2023 pro rated stats, which basically means you take passing, touchdowns, interceptions, say this is what a person's on pace for. Russell Wilson right now is on pace for a 67.9 completion percentage. That's really good. 3,411 yards. That's good. That's a good quarterback season. That's not great, but it's good. 34 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions. That's great.
That's great.
He's already has how many touchdown passes he had all of last season right now. And we just crossed halfway through the season. So, I mean, I think Russ is going to have, because look, when Denver beat the Chiefs, it was about the Chiefs. When Denver beat the Bills, the media was about the Bills. If Denver beats the Vikings for the first time, it'll be about Denver on Monday. It won't be about these other teams. It'll be about Russell Wilson. What I think, though, is that Russ has been not doing great. You know what I mean? Like, he's making the good plays. He's not turning the ball over. But he hasn't had a game that has really forced the media to apologize. You know what I mean? It's not Russ doing enough where we have to hear people being like, I was wrong about my take. What I really hope is that Russell Wilson has the kind of performance where on Monday it really makes it uncomfortable for all the people that said he was washed. And, Nick Wright is on top of that list for that really were like, Russ has been washed. And it's like, I really hope instead of just winning a defensive running football game, Russ makes enough plays for him to start getting a little bit of credit for what's going on. Because when Denver wins, Sean Payton gets the credit, but when they lose, Russell Wilson gets blamed. And that's not fair. Like, at some point,
it sucks.
Yeah, at some point, it's like, oh, was Sean Payton on the football field with 2 minutes left and 2 timeouts? Or was that Russell Wilson? Because but I think they go hand in hand. I don't think you have to pick, but I would like to see Russ start getting some credit.
You know what would be cool in this one to kind of like, inch towards that, where you're saying, like maybe like, hey, maybe get people to be like, yeah, you know what, I was wrong about him, washed up, is if he was able to throw for over like 250 yards and rush for a touchdown and use his legs, right? Like, we've seen him use his legs to get those first downs, and we're like, holy shit, Russ is running. If he rushed for a touchdown in this game, and maybe he doesn't even have to throw for one, but if he rushed for a touchdown, like, that would be, I don't know, to me, that just seems like it's like a very passive aggressive Fuck all of y'all who thought I was washed up.
That would be, that
Mm.
would be awesome.
That would be one more time, Broncos country. Let's ride.
Oh, yes, you got it. All right.
Yep.
So moving on to our third primetime game, we got. I've seen this game before. When did we see this game?
God, who? I can't even remember. Oh, right. The Super Bowl.
Oh, the Super Bowl.
Last fucking year where we had our red polos all buttoned up like we were Jake from State Farm. And if you guys remember that, you guys are fucking OGs.
How awesome was that? Philadelphia going to Kansas City. The game last year happened in Arizona, I believe. Was
Arizona State Farm Field.
State Farm. That's why we dressed up. Isn't it full
exactly.
Full
exactly. It makes sense now.
We were not dressed in red for the Chiefs. Let's be clear about that. We were dressed in red for State Farm. However, when we wore red, the Chiefs won. So I will let you know who I'm winning by the green shirt that I will be wearing.
Wow.
You stream this game. Wow. Philadelphia is going to go into Kansas City and they're going to get a dub. They are going to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs have one of the best home field advantages in the NFL in general. Philly's a more complete football team. They're a better running football team. They're a better defensive team. They have a wide receiver that is on track to shatter all kinds of new records in A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts is one of those guys that rises to the occasion. Yeah. He's not one of those guys that shrinks. And Philly's really good in prime time too. There's a ton of reasons to love Philly. However, the very last game is my don't touch it.
Oh, wow. This is actually my game of the week. And you know what that means? Someone's going to win big. And I don't know who it might be. So this game was tough for me. Obviously, Eagles and Chiefs Super Bowl rematch from last year. Kyle and I remember it perfectly. We argued about the ending. We remember that Super Bowl perfectly, not only because of how crazy it was, but because only football season 1 ended on that game. So it was a great time for only football. This one though, this is such a tough one for me to pick. Now look, you said it right. The defense on both sides is great. The Chiefs do have the edge defensively in yards per game and points per game over the Eagles. I think we're talking about like 3-4 places over 10 weeks, right? But the offense, the Eagles offense is 3rd in points per game versus the Chiefs, who are in 13th. The Eagles offense is 5th in yards per game versus the Chiefs, who are 8th. Now, I'm someone who loves offenses, who really is like offenses win games, defenses don't win games. I got to go with the Chiefs at home on this one, man. They have the better defense in yards per game, points per game. The Eagles offense, like you said, they've got A.J. Brown. They've got Devontae Smith. They've got Jalen Hurts running this offense into a well-oiled machine. They've got the tush push that they basically trademarked into a guaranteed first down on 4th and 1, on 4th and 2, on 4th and 10. They could tush push it all the way to a first down if they fucking wanted to. But I got to take the Chiefs at home. The Chiefs at home with the defense that they've got. And remember, it's Patrick Mahomes, baby. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's tough to pick against him. He's coming off of a loss against the Broncos a couple weeks ago. He was sick, right? Like he had the flu. It is what it is. He's had the bye week, I believe, right? Like the bye week was last week for them, if I'm not mistaken. Because I don't think they played a game last week. But he's coming off that week. And at home, I'm taking the Chiefs, man. It's going to be such a close game. It's my game of the week. And I really do hope it's a damn good Monday night primetime football game.
It will be.
I'm taking the Chiefs at home.
There's no scenario where anybody blows anybody out. Mark it down. This is not going to.
I hope so. I hope so.
This is going to be a really, really good football game. And man, like you said, the way that last season ended, I was so mad. Like I was so like, it was sad because it was like there's no more football. And it was also sad because it just ended on a penalty. It's like I never really had closure. And I felt like the Eagles were the better team that whole game. And last year, one of the vulnerabilities that the Eagles had was that they didn't have a good running defense. This year, they got Jalen Carter, who's come in and played an immediate impact, and Jordan Davis, the two very great players in the middle. And I look at it and I'm like, the Chiefs don't really have a reliable weapon outside Travis Kelce. I do think that their offensive concerns are way more alarming than we know because they have Patrick Mahomes, the greatest quarterback ever. So, there's a lot of that he's not going to be able to. I'll put it like this. He's going to overcome 80% of teams because he's that great. There are a few teams that are going to expose the state of Kansas City, and they're running into one right now. Philly is going to, I think, if there's going to be a team that wins by more than 7, I'm going with Philly. And I do think, though, with this game being in Arrowhead and the crowd behind it, I think it stays close. And I think this game lives up to its hype. But there is a guy on the other side, because you were like, this is freaking Patrick Mahomes. I think we're a little delayed on. We should be saying this is freaking Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it is Patrick Mahomes. Yes, that's Joe Burrow. Yes, that's Jalen Hurts. And that is one of the guys that is not really getting that kind of credit yet. Like it's still like, give me the better quarterback. I'll take Mahomes. But when you look at how the margin between Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, I think whatever. It's not a ton, but Mahomes is better. But then you take the talent difference between the Chiefs and the Eagles, and I think that kind of fills that hole by far. And then the tush push is becoming like probably a play that won't be allowed after this year in general because of how successful the Eagles are.
Yeah.
And and the Chiefs don't have a good running game. So a lot of times the Chiefs end up running the ball and they end up in kind of like a 1st and 12 or 2nd and 12. Meanwhile, the Eagles are normally at like 2nd and 6, which is a 50% difference between the first down, and that extends drives. So I think the Eagles could control time of possession in this whole game. They could really just pound the football. And yeah, I think the Eagles, I think they're in great shape to win this game.
Just like last year, Kyle and I've got the Chiefs. He's got the Eagles. This is gearing up to be such a good game. I'm so glad this is a Monday Night Football game. And again, I hope this you said there's no scenario in which this looks like a blowout on either end. And I really do hope it lives up to that, because while I do have the Chiefs winning this one, and it's one of those close games, I can really, really see it on the other end of the spectrum go where the Chiefs aren't scoring any points on offense and they're barely getting field goals and they get blown out by the Eagles. I hope it's more towards the middle of this spectrum where it's like a very close game and, Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts are fucking trading touchdown passes. AJ Brown's going insane. Kadarius Toney, I guess, for the Chiefs is going crazy. I think Travis Kelce, right? Like I hope it's like that. But I can absolutely see what the Broncos did to Mahomes. Keep him scoreless from touchdown passes. And no, Steve, I wasn't claiming the flu for the Broncos winning. I was just saying he was sick. He's got an extra couple weeks to recover from that sickness. Broncos beat him. I just think the Chiefs are going to win this one against the Eagles. Ooh, it's going to be a good one.
The Chiefs were shut out in the second half of the Dolphins game, right? I think they
were in London. In London?
In Germany. So
Germany. Okay.
Yeah, Germany. So I mean, and Miami doesn't have a great defense. Like they have Vic Fangio and he's great, but Miami's defense hasn't been anything like Phillies.
That
So
was so when you look at it, that's 6 quarters of what, 9 points?
yeah, dude, this
That's
is
insane.
and yeah, Kansas City's defense is the highlight, and they're gonna have their hands full. I do think Ladarius Sneed and their other corner, they're probably the best corner duo, one of the best corner duos in the NFL. So I do think there's going to be offensive challenges for the Eagles, but I think with the running game that they have, they can overcome all that.
For sure,
Too
for
much
sure.
talent. AJ Brown,
So much.
Julio Jones gets a touchdown in this game.
Oh, I like that. I like that. All right. I what's the over under on how many times they showed Taylor Swift?
I believe it's 13.
13. I'll take that. I'll take the over. I'll take the over, I think, on this one.
Okay. Does it start in pregame or does it start at kickoff?
No. Starts at kickoff.
Okay.
We gotta establish that 13
You should do
times.
a side bet with pregame involved as well.
Yeah.
Like
you know what we'll
20
do? Yeah. You know what we'll do? During our Monday Night Football stream, we'll keep the ticker and the counter going with that. How many times has Taylor Swift been shown?
Yeah, and she's not going to be at the game, I don't think. I think it's possible she could take a red eye to the game, but she's on tour right now, and I think she's going to be in like 3 different countries in the next 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Then I think technically she could fly straight to the game. It'll be interesting because if you saw how excited she was to see Travis when he flew to her show.
I saw the video
during the bye week. So, that type of butterfly new love might have her catch a red eye to Kansas City. We'll see.
Shit, for Travis Kelce, I'd do that too. All right, well, thanks. Thanks,
right.
That was our week 11 predictions. I started off Thursday Night Football pretty good. I had the Ravens winning, but obviously we could not predict Joe Burrow being out for the rest of the game. And is what it is. So let's move on to our week 11 favorite matchups of the week. Kyle, do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. I got 2. My first one, favorite matchup of week 11. I'm looking at the Steelers' defensive pressure on Browns quarterbacks. Now, we're not going with PJ, what's his name? Fucking
Walker.
PJ Walker. We're going with Dorian Thompson, whatever, right? I believe is
right.
Who they were going with. Cleveland, dead last in the league in turning the ball over. So they are turning the ball over more than 2 times per game, while the Steelers rank first in takeaways, second in opponent completion percentage, but they're behind the Browns in that in completion percentage. So the Steelers ranking first in turnovers and second in opponent completion percentage. Obviously, that's going to be a good recipe for these basically second, third string quarterbacks in the Browns for the Steelers to be able to not only get interceptions or get strip sacks and things like that, but great opportunity for the Steelers to win the game. I want to see how PJ Walker or how Dorian Thompson, whatever his name is, fucking 6 names in that one name, is going to do in that game against the Steelers. I've got the Browns winning, but the Steelers, with the way their defense has performed in those areas, could very well make this like a defensive like touchdown game where they win the game and the offense doesn't do much. So I'm looking at that, the Steelers defensive pressure and the way they've been able to get turnovers versus whoever's playing quarterback for the Browns.
I like that. That's going to be a good game. I'm going with the one we were just talking about. And it's going to be Kansas City's defense, which is ranked 4th. I believe I have it right here. 4th, 288 total yards per game. Ooh. So Kansas City is top 5 in yards per game. Those other defenses, Cleveland, Baltimore, Dallas, Kansas City. So Kansas City right there. So Kansas City's defense against the Philadelphia offense. So I said Kansas City's given up 271 yards per game, or 288 yards per game. Well, Philly is scoring 376 yards per game.
Woo!
That is almost 100 more yards than Kansas City gives up per week, which is really exciting because it leaves us with the matchup question. Is Philly's offense going to have the same success they average week in and week out against a top 5 defense? Because you kind of have a feeling that in order for the Chiefs to win this game, their defense is going to have to show out. So Kansas City's defense against the Philadelphia offense is it's the game of the week, and I think that's the key to the game of the week. So it had to go in my favorite matchup.
Love it. Love it. All right. My second favorite one is something we talked about briefly about the Bills, and it's going to be Josh Allen versus the Jets secondary. And to be honest, Josh Allen versus his own offense, right? They just fired Ken Dorsey. Joe Brady, he got promoted. I don't know what he was doing before. Maybe he was like an assistant quarterbacks coach, whatever he may have been. He just got promoted to offensive coordinator for the Bills. So basically, Josh Allen versus his own offense, seeing how they can, if they can be better, if it really was Ken Dorsey, if it's still Josh Allen and his just kind of like disregard for securing or keeping the ball secure. We'll see what happens with Joe Brady as offensive coordinator. Now, the secondary, the Jets secondary, they're only allowing 1 pass touchdown per game. That's tied for 3rd in the league. The Bills are just under 2 passing touchdowns per game. So who's going to prevail? Is it going to be Josh Allen and his big arm throwing touchdowns to Stephon Diggs or Gabriel or Kincaid? Or is it going to be the Jets secondary led by Sauce Gardner in allowing 1 passing touchdown per game all season through 10 weeks? That's going to be another one. That's going to be another impressive one. Again, I had the Bills winning this, but the Jets defense is very, very elite, especially their secondary.
I like it. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings passing offense against the Denver Broncos passing defense. Okay. Minnesota, for passing yards per game, is 3rd in the NFL. They're averaging 272 passing yards per game. Okay. When they're at home, they're averaging 314 passing yards per game. On the road, 230. That's a huge swing. Yeah. Minnesota definitely able to throw the football better at home, but they're still top 3 when you average it out. So I think Minnesota is very heavily reliant on their passing game. When you look at their running game, they're 29th in the NFL, averaging 85 rushing yards per game. And that's what I meant when I said Minnesota doesn't really have the kind of team that can exploit Denver's running defense weakness that they have. That is a glaring problem on the defensive side of the ball. And Minnesota happens to be a team that really heavily relies on passing the football. But Patrick Surtain is a really good corner, and they are getting Justin Jefferson back. So when you look at it, Justin Jefferson is a really elite talent, but he's also the kind of player that, you know, has the quarterback constantly looking that way, making sure that he's getting his opportunities. And I just wonder how Josh Dobbs is going to handle a guy that is as talented as Justin Jefferson on the field. Because TJ Hawkinson is leading not just all tight ends, but receivers in yards. So TJ Hawkinson is having an absolute monster season. You get Justin Jefferson back. How is Denver's passing defense going to hold up against Minnesota? Because they're one-dimensional, and they're going to be looking to pass.
Awesome. I love it. Do you have any other favorite matchup for Week 11, Kyle?
I had Chicago's running offense versus Detroit running defense.
Oh, that's a good one. I was going to pick something like that, like Montgomery versus the Bears running defense as of late, but go ahead.
No, it's okay. Do you want to do it?
No. I didn't have another one. I was going to do that, but I was like, I'll stick with 2.
I like that one. I like that one much.
You're like, no, fucking do it.
Detroit's number 3 in rushing defense. They're only allowing 79 rushing yards per game, which is crazy. But Chicago, on the other hand, is 5th in rushing yards per game. They average 135 rushing yards per game. So one of the things that Chicago does really well is run the football, which watching them, it doesn't really seem like it, but they do. With Detroit being so good at stopping the run and Justin Fields coming back, I think the only way to win this game is for Chicago to find success running the football against one of the league's best at stopping it. So that's definitely a matchup. You got a top 5 versus a top 3. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, to me, that's going to be something very intriguing too. And again, I look at the other side too. Will David Montgomery be able to run the ball against the Bears defense? Like I'm saying over here that he's going to get the game-winning touchdown on a rushing touchdown. I'm assuming they're going to be inside the 5-yard line, of course, but that's also very interesting to me because you got top running defenses and top running offenses, usually like on both sides of the ball, really, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, you got Deontay Foreman, you've got Roschon Johnson and Khalil Herbert, although I think he's coming back. I'm not entirely sure for the Bears. It's going to be one of those where who's going to win? Is the defense going to, the defense is going to win? Is it going to be a high scoring game? Who knows? So,
well,
interesting.
Detroit being at number 3 and stopping the run is really impressive. You know who's at number 2?
The Bears.
The Chicago Bears.
And I thought they were number 1, but I guess they fell off, I believe.
And that's just because teams don't run the football against the Bears because they want to exploit the passing defense.
Exactly.
They
can beat them there.
But regardless, this is going to be fun because it's like we didn't even mention that. We're just talking about the Bears rushing offense versus Detroit's rushing defense. But if you want to flip it, the Bears rushing defense is pretty insane. Number 2 in the NFL, only allowing 76 rushing yards per game.
Yeah.
And Detroit is the team 1 ahead of Chicago, running the football for 139 yards per game to Chicago's 135. So
almost double.
All in all, we got this is awesome. I don't even know. My brain just blew up. Like, okay, so the rushing, I mean, the matchups are so equal for 2 teams that are so separated.
Yeah.
It's insane. And it might be the key to getting a sneaky win.
Yeah. Yeah. Who can rush the ball better, really, right? And who can stop the run better? Pretty goddamn kind of a chess match, really, if you ask me, right?
Yeah. You hope so.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was our week 11 favorite matchups. Kyle, what do you got for the little
top 5, top 5, top 5.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh my
God, sorry.
All right. So for my chives today, and I like to do this for you guys, especially all you guys that play fantasy football, I wanted to give you week 11 some possible inactives. Okay. Ooh. So this is the latest from around the league. We'll talk injuries real quick. Trent Sherfield ankle for the Bills. He was limited. Bryce Young dealing with a thigh injury was added to the injury report, but was a full participant in today's practice. DJ Chark was full. Hayden Hurst did not practice, however. And J.C. Horn was limited with a hamstring. For the Bears, Justin Fields' right thumb was a full participant for the second consecutive day. Khalil Herbert ankle shin was limited for the second consecutive day. Dante Foreman was limited with an ankle. Tremaine Edmonds' knee did not practice. For Cleveland, we didn't make an official announcement, so we'll say it now. Deshaun Watson is set to undergo season-ending surgery on his right shoulder next week in Los Angeles. Ian Rappaport reported that.
Rappaport.
I'm rapping on accident. Jerry Jeudy hip was on the injury report and was limited. Marvin Mims was upgraded to a full participant. Awesome. Donovan People-Jones ribs was a full participant. And the last one I had was Aaron Jones for the Packers. Hamstring was limited, but he is expected to play. Christian Watson was limited with a shoulder. Quay Walker, groin limited. Jair Alexander, shoulder limited. So Green Bay, little beat up. And for the Texans, Dameon Pierce missed practice for the second straight day. Nico Collins, his calf was limited, but he's expected to play. And I just want to make sure Clyde Edward-Helaire, he was
Yeah.
sick, but he was a full participant in Thursday's practice. Jared McKinnon, full. Kadarius Toney, full. Ladarius Sneed, full. So a lot of injuries, but they're all practicing. So good news for the Chiefs. And then Keenan Allen returned to practice on a limited capacity today. I know that's a lot, but it's that time of the year where the injuries are really starting to stack up, and I just want to keep everybody up to date as much as I can. Saquon Barkley was limited for the second consecutive day with an ankle. Tommy DeVito, left shoulder, was a full participant.
I was going to say, he's got to start.
Ooh, but here's one you should know. Dallas Goedert, forearm, missed Thursday's practice.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Because he went out of the game last week, right?
Yep. Tyler Lockett, also with the hamstring, did not practice. Mike Evans, quadricep, logged a full practice after being limited yesterday, so that's good. But yeah, Dallas Goedert was the last big one. Oh, Antonio Gibson as well, toe, missed practice for the second consecutive day. I think he has turf toe. So
that's a big one for Washington.
Yeah, it's a big one for running backs too. So those are your injuries. Hopefully your team, I got to say, for the Broncos, like, knock on wood, this has been the healthiest we've been in a while. Like, we still dealt with major injuries, but we have 2 guys on our injury report, and then one of them was a full participant. Like, this is great news, man. And look, they're able to win. And look at some of these other teams that are more banged up, struggling to find them. So it's an important part. Is staying healthy is everything kind of comes down to that. I mean, look at the Bengals now.
See, not only do we give you our predictions, our recap, favorite matchups, top 5, we're giving you injury reports going into your fantasy football week. So, I mean, you got it all here at Only Football, because we talk what Kyle, what do we only talk here?
We only talk about football. Only football. That's what Rick calls it.
Only feet. I mean, football. Only football here and Only Football. Want to give a huge shout out. That is direct quote. I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who tuned into the stream, not only right now during our Week 11 prediction episode, but during our Thursday night football stream. So Casey, Steve, Arnie, Bill, Jinja, Lil E-Dub. We had Tyler, we had Liam, we had everybody. We had Ricardo Lopez in here. Everybody who tuned in, thank you so much. We had Angel, of course. He had to leave the stream a little bit early, but thank you guys, everyone who tuned in and put a comment in, shared, like the video. As Steve said, we're always trying to get those double-digit likes to turn into the triple digits, to turn into the quad digits, 5 digits, all the digits into likes. So thank you, everyone who tuned in. We always appreciate it. We always appreciate the conversation. We always have fun with you guys, conversing with you guys in the comments. Kyle and I always have a blast talking with you guys.
Remember what I said about Rick's guarantee.
It's worth $10. So you can actually sell my guarantee online.
Something of value. Rick's guarantee. Value.
I can't wait till that fucking goes through and Kyle's gonna have to give me $10. Anyway, you could follow me on Twitter at @AndNowRick, and you could follow the official Only Football page at OnlyFootballKR. Kyle, where can they follow you on Twitter?
You can find me at John Appleseed. Did you leave?
Why did the stream cut out?
Rick?
Hello?
Guys, yeah, you can follow me at FTBLONLYPODCAST for all your NFL latest news, injuries, passion projects, and occasional sex robots.
Not occasional. Pretty often sex robots. And if you got some buddies on Twitch who don't have YouTube, let them know to go follow us at Only Football Pod on Twitch. Twitter, you got it. YouTube, you're on here. Only Football is the channel name, so go follow us. We always like to talk with you guys, send DMs. Bill's always sending us great stuff. Angel, all you guys are always sending us good stuff. Lily, all you guys. So we always
When we get to
love
500
conversing.
subscribers, I will do a line of vitamin C.
I will watch Kyle do a line of vitamin C when we get to 500
You
subscribers.
got to do it with me.
No, I'll watch. I'll definitely watch you OD on vitamin C while you're just like
So healthy.
My God, I've never been so healthy in my life. But again, thank you guys. We're on our path to 500. We're gonna get super chats. Our YouTube channel is gonna blow up. You guys are gonna love the content we're bringing you. Johnny Appleseed is easier to remember.
Football
dumber
podcast,
but dumber than
Pretty-
football only podcast.
easy to remember, right? Football. You guys do know FTBL stands for football. Just making sure.
Oh, is that what it stood for? Well, I thought it was like fat till, but I don't know what it meant. But I didn't know it was football.
Booty. Lonely podcast.
All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here
Lonely
before we say
podcast.
some. We're gonna get out of here before we say some dumb shit, or not me, but Kyle.
It's too late.
Thank you guys so much, Kyle. I'll see you next time.
All right, brother. See you.
See ya.